And the next thing I think we should talk about is the pricing model, basically, which is the core of it. So we're talking about doing a usage-based pricing model, feature-based pricing model, or maybe even a flat rate for the service. I think before we talk about which one is better, let's start defining each one of them.
What we need to do.
Progress bars.
Yesterday we got our first paying customer.
But I was thinking maybe we could do like...
How do you know what's a big story?
We get access to their analytics. Is there a way to... We're playing the game, so if there's ads, we're gonna run ads.
Yes, we need to learn how to kind of customizer related work.
And it can help us grow.
Welcome to Online Biz TV. I am Ruth.
And I'm Eric.
And in this episode, we are going to talk about pricing and more specifically, recurring pricing for a SaaS or a service or whatever subscription and recurring product you might be selling. So to get started, Eric, what do you think about free trial? Let's start talking about that.
So I'm a huge believer in free trial. I do think that the easier you make it for your customers to join the product and actually test it, live in action, the more likely they are to stay with you for the long run. Now, at least with our products, we run free trial on all of them, at least the ones that we can. I mean, if your software costs, $20 for you to set up, then you can provide a free trial because it might be tricky. If someone uninstalled during this time, you might end up losing the money. And this is actually something that happened to us with one of our products. So this is definitely something to consider, but definitely if you can do that, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree. And the way we usually see it with our products is we want to give a 30 days free trial just to get the customer to really feel what it's like to use the product. And then after 30 days, it's just something that is a part of your flow. It's a part of your business and it's that much harder to get rid of. But when the usage of the product costs us money, like it does with EasyCall, one of our apps, because it costs us money, we have to limit the free trial, and we actually limited it to 7 days. But even then, I think it's worth the chance of losing money on the free trial just to really capture the customer. You can't really give it up.
Yeah, that's probably one of the things that you're gonna need to gather some data after a while to decide what you can or cannot afford. And even more than that, I think the free trial is just trying to look at the business of a more healthy way and trying to build long-term relationships with your customers. You don't want your customer to you don't want to try and steal his money as soon as you can before you leave. You want him to stay for years. And if you want him to stay for years and pay you every month, there is no harm in giving away 30 days or even 60 days free trial because eventually you want the customer to realize the true value of your product that you have. And if you think that your product doesn't have enough value, then you need to look inside and not outside about the free trial and the customers. You need to improve the product and get it to a place where it's good enough for the customers to stay.
Yeah, and then my next question would be, and that is more relevant to SaaS, I think, than to any physical product or a service-based business. But at what point do you think we should capture the payment? Should it be before free trial and before you actually start usage, when you start your trial, or when you finish your trial? Because I know a lot of SaaS companies are kind of on the fence about that one.
Yeah. To be honest, this is a tough one, but I did hear not long ago in one of these SaaS conferences that someone actually did this case study asking like 2,000 SaaS founders or something like that, don't get me on the details, when they charge credit card and how it affects the growth of a business, and actually they found that there is no difference. Now, generally speaking, I do prefer, if you can, again, allow the customer to first try it without the need for a credit card. If the product is good and he wants to keep using it, eventually they're gonna if it's a core need of their business, if they need it, or even if it's not a core, but if it's something that they realize the potential and the value, they will be willing to insert the credit card. Now, obviously, if you don't know us yet, most of our products are running on Shopify, and there you don't have to actually put in your credit card because all the billing is being done through Shopify. And in this case, I do think that it's easier to approve the payment as soon as possible, just because it's very native and easy to customers to do that. So that's just one thing. And again, if you can approve free trial, maybe just give them the free trial before you charge for recurring subscription, and then once it's done, take the payment from there. That's the way I see that.
So you told me about this kind of research. I don't think you can call it really a research, but like this test of does inserting the payment before the free trial starts increases churn rate or not? Does it decrease conversion rate? And you told me that there's like no real difference there, but the way I see it, when I want to look for a new service to use, especially if it's not something very familiar, if it's like a smaller company, a smaller product, I really want to try it without giving it my credit card details. And for me personally, I just like that the free trial doesn't require credit card, especially when you think about SaaS. Sometimes you don't know if this company is a scammer or not. You want to test the product before you you give them your credit card details. And I think the more the company grows, the more your product is like a well-known brand in the niche, the more you can afford it to capture payment in advance. Because when a customer comes to you, it's not like a cold lead, it's someone who actually knows about your product. That being said, for Google, for example, for G Suite, when you sign up, you don't have to enter payment details until the free trial is over. Just a little anecdote about a big company that still lets you enter your credit card.
They usually do the research. By the way, just to be clear about that, the research that I showed you earlier is not talking about the churn rate or the conversion rate of visitors on the website. It talks about the correlation between asking the credit card before or after the free trial and the growth of the company.
Okay.
So it might also be that the smaller companies that did that maybe just failed and didn't make it to the poll. That's also an option, but that's just what the article was about.
I think it's an interesting like A/B testing thing to do, like for us.
Oh yeah, that's definitely something that you need to do.
Yeah,
One of the things.
Okay, so that was very SaaS specific. We're gonna go back to subjects that are more relevant to other recurring-based business models. And the next thing I think we should talk about is the pricing model, basically, which is the core of it. So we're talking about doing a usage-based pricing model, a feature-based pricing model, or maybe even a flat rate for the service. I think before we talk about which one is better, let's start by defining each one of them. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, of course. That's at least the way I see it. So fixed price, it can be either a one-time or a monthly recurring payment. It's just just this one price. So it can be either $50 for a lifetime license, so that's a one-time fee, and then you can do just $50 per month, which is just flat rate per month. Then after that you have usage base, which is basically, and by the way, the thing about the flat rate, you can do that, you can have multiple plans that change based on features and capabilities for the end user, and that's going to be recurring again per month. And the last option is usage based, which is basically charged based on the amount that the user is using your service. So it can be based on the number of users in the system, it can be based on the number of supported domains, it can be just any feature within the app, basically.
Revenue generated.
Yeah, but speaking of e-commerce, but if you look at something else, I'm trying to think of the more, like if you have a list, if it's to manage lists, then the size of the list or the amount of emails, SMSs you send or whatever.
I think email marketing software like Klaviyo or SendGrid, that's a really good example of, or MailChimp. They charge you mostly based on your contacts. How many contacts do you have? And then I think for most of them they do have some feature-based pricing at some point, but mostly it's all about the number of contacts you have. So what is your personal favorite? I think I know. But
Yeah, it's not a secret. I'm a huge believer in usage-based charges, and just because, first of all, this way it's very easy for you to make sure that people don't take advantage of your software. I see so many businesses just provide a free forever plan, and then people just take the free plan, even if they need to upgrade, they just never do and forever take advantage of your software, which is, I mean, it's okay, but in my mind, I think if you provide a good service and people should upgrade, then it shouldn't be up to them to decide. It's just the way that I see it. And again, but your value to the customer back should be at least 10 times. Like, you should give your customers more than they're giving you. That's just, business perspective in general.
Yeah.
And then so if you do a usage-based charge, you can be very generous with your free plan, but again, the customer doesn't choose when to upgrade. So I wouldn't give one of our examples, but let's say that MailChimp is a good example. I think they give you unlimited emails until your list have 2,000 or more emails. I think, I'm not sure about the numbers, and then you pay as you grow, which is, I think, it's a great business model in general because, and so that's one, because you can be very generous and make sure that people don't take advantage of you. And the second thing, which is even more important, is you can charge more from the bigger customers. So if you charge $20 per month flat, it's going to be harder for people to get in, and everybody's going to pay the same amount. And if you charge based on email, if someone has 1 million or 10 million emails, they're going to pay you thousands of dollars per month, which seems like better for you as a business owner, of course, and maybe even better for the customer if you make sure that everything works properly.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you, which is also not a secret. I think just to like summarize the 2 points you said, when you do usage-based pricing, it has to be something that is not going to allow your customers to take advantage of you. So you have to build the usage base in a way that doesn't give them the option to pay less than they should. So if they pay less than they should be limited enough that they want to upgrade, or that it's an automatic usage base and you automatically upgrade them, which is how we work, for example, in Reconvert. You don't have the option to pay less, you just pay according to the usage. And then the second thing is, of course, to make sure that the pricing is built in a way, it's kind of like a pyramid. So you start with a very low priced plan, even a free one, and we can talk about Freemium a little bit more later, but basically you start with a really low rate and you end it with a pretty high one that the customers that are in this rate can actually pay. And that way you kind of squeeze the most out of your customers and no one pays more or less than they actually are capable of.
And it's very elegant because the bigger you get, the more you pay, it's actually you're getting a bigger discount.
Yeah.
That's the way it feels to the customer. Because let's say that with MailChimp, I'm just giving a random example because that's not accurate. But let's say that if you have anywhere between 100 to 200 emails, you're gonna pay $10 per month. Between 200 to, 400 emails, suddenly you're just gonna pay 15. So the increase is less. You get a discount for the additional contacts, the additional usage.
Yeah.
So everybody, it's a win-win. Everybody, you charge more and they feel like they're getting an actual discount.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. I think another point that I wanted to talk about is the way you stage your pricing, not stage, like the way you plan your pricing. It's very important not to charge based on your costs plus certain additional X. I don't know. That's not a good idea because actually your customers don't care about it. And I think I've heard Patrick Campbell, which is the CEO of Profitwell. He's, by the way, if anyone wants to learn anything about SaaS pricing, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. So the thing is, your customers don't care about how much your product costs you when it comes to software. They care about their price. So charge based on the value you're giving them and not about the value for you. With let's say physical products, usually you just see how much the product costs. If the cell phone costs you, $500 to manufacture, you're going to sell it for $1,000. It just makes sense, but it's just not the same way with software.
Yeah.
So charge based on the value and not based on your cost.
And I think no matter what your business model is, when you talk about pricing or about anything else, you really always have to focus on the value for the customer. I think that's like a general rule of thumb, no matter what you do. Never focus on what your customer gives you, but always on what you give your customer. And moving forward to to feature-based pricing. I think we talked a lot about usage-based, which is really good in B2B and in SaaS, and even in service-based businesses. But when we talk about physical products, I'm not sure usage-based is even an option. You would usually have to do kind of a stretch in how you define usage in order to do that for a physical product. So feature-based would be a really good idea. For example, if you look at Dollar Shave Club, which they give you a subscription box, a monthly subscription box to your home of shaving supplies. And I'm pretty sure they have different packages. So you can only get a razor, and it would be cheaper than if you get a razor and a shaving cream. And that's a really good way to place your feature-based pricing, where you just make it very clear to the customer what exactly they're getting. And each customer can choose the plan that fits him according to the pricing, to the features that he wants. So if we look at software, so a more concrete example that I think is less obvious than a subscription box, a physical subscription box, you want to place your features in a way that they actually entice people to subscribe, to upgrade. Because if, let's say, you're charging $5 a month for the basic plan, and then you need to upgrade to $20 a month to get something really simple that no one really wants to use, you're not going to get any upgrades. You have to make it so that features that the customers really want, the ones that they want the most, are actually limited for the next plan. That's my personal take on feature-based pricing. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add on top of that. Again, just make sure, like generally, if you summarize it to one thing, is just make sure that you make the customers pay for the features that they actually want. If there is one feature that everybody wants, don't put it on the free plan. Put it on the first paid plan, or even further down the line to, as Ruth said, just entice them to upgrade. So just that.
Yeah, and another thing, again, from the B2B point of view, which is what we know, is the bigger the business, the more feature it needs, the more features it needs. So you could create your features-based pricing according to what you know bigger businesses need out of your product, so that the more the businesses grow, they actually have to upgrade. And I think just the last thing about that, I think one of the best things you can actually do is combine usage and features to your pricing, so that they have to upgrade for specific features, but they also have to upgrade for a specific usage amount, or to get the discounts on usage, and then you get the best out of both worlds.
Yeah, and I think I want to add something on top of that. I don't think we touched it yet, but there's actually another way of pricing, which is it's feature-based, but it's customizable to the customer. So you can have, let's say that your app have 5 main features. You don't have to decide which one the customer pays for. You can say that each one of them, for example, is $10 a month, and then you can pick which out of the features he wants to pay for and have access to these features. So you can choose any feature, any single feature for $10, any 2 features for $20, and you can give a discount, let's say $45 if he takes all 5. So you can do all of these things. These are all things you can do, and that's maybe going to give the customer a better customer experience. So consider that as well.
And then I think the last point we should talk about for this video is freemium, which we touched on a little bit. What are your thoughts on having a freemium plan?
It's funny, I don't really have anything to add. I think we've said everything. Yeah, give your customers the free version they can use. Just make sure they can take advantage of you and your software. It shouldn't be their decision when to upgrade. It should be their decision when to uninstall. So that's always something they can do, but they shouldn't choose what feature they have access for free. And from there, and by the way, I'm also a believer that the beautiful thing about usage, if you just do usage, is that you give all the customers access to all of your software, and they you don't separate. If you have key features that some customers need, they don't have to upgrade or do anything specific. They just get the software and can use everything. And I think a lot of customers see the additional value to it.
Yeah,
That's just in my mind.
And it reminded me just recently, with everything that's happening with Corona and the global pandemic, a lot of stores, at least in the beginning of the pandemic, really stopped all sales. They just completely stopped selling. I think later on, online shopping actually became even more popular, so a lot of stores made a lot of money. But when these stores stopped selling, they didn't have to uninstall or convert. Giving an example from our own business, they didn't have to uninstall the app because of the way the usage-based pricing is built. So they could basically keep the app installed, everything keeps working, but they're not paying because they're not selling anything.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of different services provide discounts for their apps, and we just felt like it's unnecessary. We built it in a way that it's always fair to the customer. The pricing, the actual billing changes every month based on the usage. If the usage went down, they would just charge less. Now I remember, and again, this is something we didn't talk about. I remember back in the day when I was a merchant, I used a lot of different apps, and I remember that I always get pissed when I saw that the monthly order volume went down. So we made much less revenue actually, but because we didn't remember to downgrade, you use so many tools, you can't really remember it all the time. Because we didn't remember to downgrade, they were still charging us extra, and we remember how painful it was. So this is one of the reasons we are so pro usage-based when possible. So I just wanted to talk about it. Keep it fair. Always give your customer 10x what you're taking away from it. I think that's like one thing to always have in mind in business and definitely in SaaS.
Yeah. Okay, so I think just to summarize everything, what is your key takeaway when it comes to pricing?
First of all, split test everything. Like that's one of the most important things, and make it as easy as possible to your customers to start using your software. And just don't ask them when they want to start paying. Make it based on their usage. Yeah,
and I want to add to that, make it as flexible as possible so that it fits the different ranges of customers that you have, but also maximizes your profits. So that's it as far as pricing. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or if you want us to talk more in depth of one of the subjects that we talked about here. And we'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, I'll just because it's the first episode. If you haven't already, make sure to go to our YouTube channel, Online Biz TV, and subscribe so you'll know whenever we release new videos and new content about online business in general and how to make this passive income. I think this is it. See you in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye.